Thank you, sir. I'd just like to say that Sarah Bowers of Westgate and Garlinge Action Group has also joined the meeting to help me if I need help with answering questions, if that's okay.
Good. Okay. Not quite ready yet for you to go on,
Okay.
but in a few moments. But
Okay.
yeah, thank you for clarifying that. Thank you for the three opening statements there from the three main parties. That's all very helpful. Councillor Tomlinson, do you mind if you turn your camera off, unless you're, sorry, I was going to mention it before, but I forgot. But if we can try and stick to the people who are involved in the conversation at any one time can have their cameras on, and then everyone else can have their cameras off until they wish to speak. Thank you. So we can now move on to the other submissions from interested parties. And as I said before, we'll go on the list that they were introduced. So, Mrs. Brown, approximately how long do you consider yours will take? I should ask you. I think you're on mute.
Sorry. Sorry, sir. Well, not terribly long. It's a summary, so it won't take a huge amount of time. Thank you.
Okay, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity to provide a summary and update of the written representation submitted last November by the Westgate and Garlinge Action Group in relation to the appeal site. That submission highlighted several aspects of the proposed development that were of prime concern for local residents in relation to landscape character, loss of productive farmland, inadequate bird and bat surveys, surface water flooding, sewage pollution, traffic generation, and the inadequate nature of GP services, local GP services. I'd like to summarise some of these main concerns for the inquiry. Landscape and loss of farmland. The appeal site is located in the local character area, undulating chalk farmland. This is described in the Thanet Local Plan as an area of high quality agricultural land of value for farmland and roosting coastal birds. The openness and undeveloped character of the farmland contributes to the essentially rural character and relatively dark skies. Thanet's heritage is based on hundreds of years of continuous farming, which is the fabric of the landscape. Vital for food production and home to increasingly rare farmland birds such as skylarks, corn buntings and lapwings. The proposed development should not be viewed in isolation, as it is closely connected to other proposed developments at Birchington and Westgate and Garlinge, 1,650 and 2,000 houses respectively. Via the planned inner circuit ring road, another 1,700 houses are planned southeast of the appeal site, 250 approved at Sampston Grange, and a further 1,450 scheduled for strategic site SP18 at Westwood. All these developments are in the same landscape character area and combined will lead to a loss of 30 to 40% of productive farmland, thereby detrimentally affecting working farms. All of this is on land owned by a very small number of farmers whose businesses will be adversely impacted. If farms become unviable, this landscape and its functionality will change forever, affecting landscape character, local distinctiveness, habitats, biodiversity and water environment. The proposed development will also remove the last patch of dark skies in the area, currently vital for protected species including bats and owls. This is all contrary to Strategic Priority 4 and Policy SP26 of the Thanet Local Plan, which aim to safeguard local distinctiveness and promote the protection and enhancement of Thanet's environment, including the landscape and the biodiversity. In addition, we consider the Thanet Local Plan Policy SP30, which specifically states that developers are required to mitigate against the loss of farmland bird habitats, is also contravened because the proposed on-site mitigation area is neither functionally suitable nor sufficient. Flooding surface water drainage. The lower field of the appeal site regularly holds water during heavy rain and consequently a sustainable urban drainage system is proposed as part of the development. However, our main concern is that the proposals have not taken significant account of the presence of an historic watercourse called Tivoli Brook. In June 2021, residents were strongly reminded of the threat from surface water flooding because heavy rain caused stormwater to flood along Shottendane Road as if it were a river. This water followed its historic route along Shottendane Valley, Tivoli Brook and out onto Margate Main Sands. Development on the lower field could result in contaminants from those houses, gardens, driveways and additional roads ending up in Tivoli Brook. The whole of the appeal site lies within the surface water catchment area that discharges on Margate Main Sands. The Department of the Environment, Food and Rural Affairs bathing water profile for Margate Main Bay states it has a natural drainage catchment of approximately 1,650 hectares. This includes the catchment of the Tivoli Brook, an underground stream that drains most of the local urban area. Tivoli Brook emerges through an outfall onto the beach. The wider surrounding area is predominantly rural, arable. The potential for flooding and contamination of Margate Main Sands by Tivoli Brook was raised and discussed by the Thanet District Council Planning Committee at 3 meetings, but Thanet District Council and the appellant continue to dismiss this possibility. Sewerage infrastructure. Southern Water regularly pour treated and untreated sewage into the sea all around the Thanet coast during periods of persistent, heavy or even moderate rainfall. Issues with pumping stations not functioning properly in such conditions are well documented. Both Thanet MPs recognise the seriousness of this issue for public health, tourism and the environment, and have both called for a moratorium on house building in this area because the sewerage system clearly cannot cope. Adding more houses onto an already failing system, this will only worsen the situation. Traffic generation and climate change. Like many other local authorities, Thanet District Council have publicly recognised the climate and biodiversity emergency and issued a declaration to that effect. Use of fossil fuels, particularly by transport, is a major contributor to greenhouse gas emissions. And climate change. Instead of building more roads, we should be investing in schemes that encourage active travel and the provision of better and more reliable public transport, in line with the local plan policy SP45 transport infrastructure. The proposed development is completely car dependent. There is no bus route along any of the 3 main roads that serve the site, Shottendane Road, Manston Road, nor Hartsdown Road. The nearest bus stop on Helena Avenue, not Beatrice Road, as stated by the applicant, is cited to be 850 metres away, but it is more likely 0.8 miles and a 15-minute walk from the centre of the site. The applicant also states that the railway station is 1.5 kilometres away, but again it is further, closer to 1.5 miles or a 25 to 30-minute walk. The development proposals include a new distribution link road through the site and associated junction roundabouts as part of Kent County Council's Thanet Transport Strategy. This is aimed at relieving traffic congestion at the Coffin House roundabout. However, embedding car use so centrally in this development will only add more vehicles to the local road infrastructure, some 260 movements during peak hour. This is contrary to policies SP43 and SP44 of the Thanet Local Plan, which aim to promote safe and sustainable transport for accessible locations. Pressure on GP services. Residents in Sampston Ward are assigned to the Lyme surgery in central Margate, which has approximately 6,000 patients per GP, compared to the national average of 2,000. The GP provision at the Lyme surgery clearly cannot support another 1,680 residents, based on 2.4 people per dwelling for the 450 houses proposed, in addition to the 250 houses at Sampston Grange, which have already been granted outline planning permission. In conclusion, we support Thanet District Council's refusal of the proposed development and firmly believe that the appeal should be dismissed. However, the reasons for refusal are not considered to be sufficiently comprehensive because they do not reflect the wider ranges of issues associated with the application, several aspects of which are contrary to local plan policies. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Brown. That's very helpful. Can I just ask that several of the matters you raised will be subject to our sort of later discussions. Will you be joining those discussions as well?
I'm not sure whether I'll be able to or not, actually.
Okay.
I will if I can.
Okay, because as we discussed before, some of the points will be sort of responded to by the appellant in those as well. So obviously, if you are able to attend those discussions, that might be helpful.
Yes, I will. I will my best. Yeah. Sorry, Sarah's just raised her hand. Sarah Bowers,
Hi, I've just joined to support Jackie. I'm a resident and also a member of the Westgate and Garlinge Action Group. I just wanted to say that if you would like somebody to be present in those discussions, I'm sure we can arrange. If necessary, I can join and perhaps Jackie can join too.
Okay, I mean, it's purely up to you, but obviously, you know, I'm here to sort of hear from interested parties and everybody, as well as the appellant and the council and the Rule 6. So, you know, if you're able to, then I'm sure that could be helpful. It's just that several of the matters you raise will be subject to more detailed discussion in those. So that certainly could be helpful. Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Williams, have you got any questions you would like to ask?
No, thank you very much, sir. As we discussed earlier, I think the most efficient way of dealing with these points, of which I've got a careful note, obviously, is through the appellant's witnesses in due course. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Mrs. Brown. Thank you, Mrs. Bowes. That's helpful. Thank you. I'm just going to write a note in another notepad a second, so bear with me a second. Right. Moving on then to the other interested parties speakers, and next on my list is Mr. Morris from the CPRE.